You want one of those monkeys?
Duct tape. How the Mayflower got over from England without duct tape is beyond me.
Or how about Noah the Ark? That's a bigger one.
Yeah. You had that one up me, Bo. You just had that.
Well, I'm sorry.
Damn theme song you didn't finish. You had the one up.
Very good. And welcome everybody. We are live right here in the Carver Plus Studios, powered by the Tsunami Digital Network, and we are here on the SPAMM Saloon with the Bo and Greggo show, and we are running live, and there's no excuse. Now, if you want to tune into this show, there's a lot of ways to do it. First of all, we're on Facebook live stream, which is at the Bo and Greggo show. So if you're on Facebook, just go to that search engine and search Bo and Greggo show, or you can just go facebook.com/Bo and Greggo, and you'll find us. And Barbara Ann Purple Haze is running that. You can make comments. You can tell her hi. You can tell her we stink. We need to shower, whatever.
Well, Justin Glasscock says, "What's up, Hammer?"
Hey, how about that? Hi, Justin. Thanks for tuning in.
Glasscock?
Mm-hmm. Did I say wrong?
Boy, no, boy, can I have fun with that?
Oh, boy, here we go.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Oh,
We're already
boy.
starting off with a
handle with care.
Oh, boy, I'm still a fifth grader.
Your discretion is advised.
I'm still a fifth grader.
We have high octane on this show, and it started already. And also in the house, and what an honor. And it is
We have
an
a
honor.
judge.
It is an
Literally,
honor
your
because
honor.
he is the honorable
All rise.
Oh, I don't know.
Judge James Kerbo, who's running the video production for Twitter. And it's a
Yay.
brand new account. So, you know.
You must have some suck in this town. I mean, getting a judge to come run
To
video.
run his video, exactly.
I
mean,
have
you
to
must-
moonlight
you
to
must
make
have some
rent.
serious suck
Well,
in this town.
His mother used to own this building anyway. Didn't
Yes,
she,
that's right.
James? He owns this place.
So he is doing the Twitter feed, and you can find us on Twitter at Bo and Greggo. It's that simple, and it's just at Bo and Greggo, and you can see, should be able to see the live stream. We're hoping you can. And then we're also on YouTube. So you can go to youtube.com and then search Bo and Greggo show, Bo and Greggo show, and we're there too. So there's no excuse. And if you got one, shame on your ass, because we don't take excuses. The judge will throw you out. He'll throw your case out. And that's how it rolls around here. We appreciate you being here today, and tell friends and neighbors about us, because we're here on Mondays and Fridays at 7 p.m.-ish.
Yeah, you can get it out, Bo. Get it out.
And so, and we you know what? We just may stay here all night. We just don't know. I mean, it's kind of like going to the Pentecostal churches. If we get to rolling, we may stay here forever.
Just
my
don't bring the
gosh.
snakes in.
Yeah,
No,
we
is that
won't-
why you
we'll
made
try
me
to
bring
avoid
dinner
that.
tonight?
Just don't bring the snakes in.
We're going to stay. We got
Pentecostal church,
refrigerator,
man.
coffee, and everything. So thanks for tuning in today, and we're going to get right to it with the great partner of mine, the fabulous Greggo the Hammer Williams. He's going to open a can of Spam on you right now.
You know, we kind of started this on Friday about journalism, and the judge can weigh in on this too, because I'm sure he sees a lot of it too in his business. Because I'm convinced that journalism, as we knew it, as early as 20 years ago, is dead. It's completely dead.
First of all, can you describe journalism so people know what that really means?
I'm talking about where you can go and you can get the news, and you can get
the real news,
the facts, and nothing but the facts. And it's not slanted. There's not buzzwords. It's not creating a narrative.
the Walter Cronkites of the world.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I mean, Walter Cronkite. And well, I'll give you a better example, because Walter Cronkite was a guy that, even as fair as he was, and he was, you know, you could tell that CBS News leaned to the left, because the media has always leaned to the left. I mean, you can go back to Thomas Jefferson.
Not sure why, but they did.
And it's always leaned to the left. And if you really want to know about, you know, what happened to journalism and where it really went off the rails, a great book that was written about 15 years ago by Bernie Goldberg. You may see him on Real Sports. On HBO.
I'm not seeing it, but I'll check.
He was with CBS News for 30 years, and Bernard Goldberg wrote a book called Bias, and it pretty much boils it down to the lowest common denominator on what is wrong with journalism. This was 20-something years ago. And it's a great book that kind of illustrates in the simplest of terms just how biased that the news media is. And 20 years ago,
And that was 20 years ago?
it was,
Oh my God.
you could see it, that it was getting bad.
It was leaning pretty heavy, right?
50 years ago, you could pick up the New York Times and it was, they leaned left, but not much.
Right.
And you could get the facts.
Tried to be fair most of the way.
You could pick up the Dallas Morning News and it leaned to the right.
Yeah.
Very conservative. But now, well, I'll put it this way. I don't have a go-to journalism outlet anymore. There's none. I can't go to any news outlet.
That's a real news. You're saying that you get the real factual news.
I don't want buzzwords. I don't want because you can get creative. You can get a wordsmith that can get creative.
Correct.
And you can slant everything. And by the end of what you're reading, you're like, wow, and they can just lead you astray.
Correct.
On a story. And you see that more and more. And used to your evening newscast, they were pretty, Walter Cronkite, Huntley and Brinkley, and up through Tom Brokaw and Dan Rather. Now he started.
Right,
he started the left.
Yeah, he started. He
and
jumped
now,
out.
And now
I remember that.
He's Karl Marx now. I mean, that's how far left this guy is.
He definitely went that way.
But you can depend on your nightly news. You watch that with your dad when you were growing up, and you pretty much get the real story. You can't get that anymore.
The facts.
And
what
there's
we would
nowhere
call
to
the
go.
facts. Right.
And as a guy that consumes a lot of news, I always have. I've been a news junkie my entire life. And when I was doing so much sports, I was still into the news, but I didn't spend as much time as I do now.
Because you had to do the sports because that was your show.
But I've been a reader of the New York newspapers, the two tabloids, the Daily News and the New York Post. You got one, the Daily News, very left. The Rupert Murdoch-owned New York Post, very right and very funny, best headlines in the world. And the New York Times. I mean, I can't tell you the last time that I didn't pretty much read all the front page stories of the New York Times. You'd have to go back 10, 15 years, on how long that before I didn't read something. I've always consumed that. And it's getting to where that my membership for the New York Times
is wearing thin.
Is well, I used to get it. I used to get it a day late.
Oh, okay.
And there were.
So you're talking about the actual paper?
Used to.
Okay.
Until it became online.
Right.
About probably 10 years ago.
Correct.
But my membership is going to run out the 1st of December, and I don't know that I'm renewing that. And if that happens, that'll be the first time that I'm not a reader of the New York Times in 30 years.
That's kind of scary, really, to me.
Because you can't believe anything they write anymore. And I'm not some right-wing nutcase conspiracy theorist. I'm someone that has read this my entire adult life. And the changes that they've made, and we're going to go back 20 years on it, but especially since Trump was elected, it's astounding. It's amazing to me on just the crapper that journalism has gone in. Now, I'm a guy that I have a journalism degree. I went to, I was in the journalism department at TCU all the time that I was there. And, I was taught, and, I'm not going to pretend that TCU is some elite journalism school because it's not. It's a good one, but it's not Columbia. It's not Missouri. It's not Syracuse. It's not UCLA. I mean, those are your elite schools. But I got a pretty good education on journalism. And I learned what it is and what it's supposed to be. And they have ripped the mask off of it now. because they don't even pretend to be
No,
straight down the line
it's
anymore.
no, it's completely jumping in the ring full force of how they think and what they believe and the left side of it. And I'm sure that
and
sets you on
understanding,
fire.
Bo, that it's always lean left, but you knew that, and you could see you could see that fork in the road where they started to go
And
down
when you think,
yeah,
when
I would say 20 years ago.
Okay.
I would say probably maybe 30 when Reagan came in, because that was right after Watergate, and they were real, the left was real leery of Republicans and conservatives, and they really started casting an eye, and they saw a guy like Ronald Reagan that was as good a communicator as there was,
right.
and they detested it. They didn't like that, and they attacked him. And he spent, now you would think that Ronald Reagan was George Washington, but at the time he was being attacked every day,
Right.
every single day.
Well, just like
the
Trump
media.
is.
Oh, no, there's nothing.
No.
There is nothing
Close
that compares
I know
to what that guy's going through right now. And I'm not one of these guys, Trump apologists. I'm not. I mean, he drives me crazy on stuff. I mean, that what he did with that Alabama, the weather report,
Right.
that's indefensible.
Yeah.
I mean, that is ridiculous what he did. And instead of just saying, hey, the weather reports, there are 19 different models for hurricanes, and a couple of them had it hit in Alabama, and I mentioned it, and there it is. I was mistaken. No.
He should be out of the weather business anyway.
Well, exactly. That's another thing.
Why would you want to put yourself out there?
I'm not. He drives me crazy because a lot of the things.
Do you like his tweets?
They amuse me.
Well, that's not what I asked you.
Do I wish that they would stop? I don't know if I do or not. Now, if you'd asked me that a couple years ago, I'd say yes, absolutely.
Well, see, the one thing that I think has been great, and I believe he tweets too much, okay? But I think that that's a way that the American people have been able to really know where he stood instead of always just hearing it from some non-journalist saying this is what Trump said when he didn't really say it. Now he comes on and says, this is what I'm saying right from the horse's mouth so you can see what he's really saying.
Okay, the problem is if you'd asked me that question 2 years ago, I'd say, no, he needs to stop. He needs to lose that phone and not tweet. But now he has to, because if he doesn't, the media is not gonna. They're not gonna cover him fairly.
No,
they're not gonna cover him accurately.
And then they're going to say that he chickened out. He doesn't. We've forced him not to tweet anymore.
He cannot win.
No.
It doesn't matter. I mean, when if he says he's going to do something and he rethinks it, and you have everybody on the left screaming that he's going to do something. If he changes his mind and doesn't do it,
they say,
he cowed down. He backtracked. I've never seen anything like it. And, I can go back to some of the journalism classes that I was sitting in, and the rules that are broken on an everyday basis, both in the electronic media and the written media, it's astronomical. Every single day, I could just point out example after example on just how unfair that they are. And that seems to get a lot more notoriety than people that are trying to say stuff that on a positive thing for him. And we've really gotten really divided in this country as a result, because it's kind of like a seesaw. I think everything in life is a balance. They blame Trump for that. They blame him for that, but yet you've got the media just hammering him every day, even when he does something right.
I know.
He
going to the bathroom.
Both Bush and Obama and Bill Clinton, to a certain extent, in his last term, they tried to get something with, and Judge, you can weigh in on this, on prison reform done. Couldn't get it done. Trump got it done. Right. But now, not only did they not cover, they just didn't cover it. And see, that is bias by omission.
Well, especially when that's something that really needed to be done.
Exactly. And he did it. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of like, oh, yeah, he did that. Yeah. But Russia. Right. And Stormy Daniels, he's out banging hookers, and
That's a bonus, isn't it?
I don't know.
I'm not going
I thought you were
to.
going somewhere else with that word.
I'm not going to defend, any of the untoward things that he did, but when he does something good, they just, I promise you, if he went out there on the Potomac River and walked across it, the headlines the next day was Trump can't swim. That would be the headlines.
Or either he rigged the water somehow where he could walk across it. There wouldn't be any kind of fairness to it.
It's just amazing. So 2 years ago when I said, no, he doesn't need to tweet, he absolutely needs to tweet. Absolutely, because I don't always agree with his language. I don't always agree with some of his methods. I don't always agree with how sometimes he punches down and attacks people that he really shouldn't.
Yeah, just kind of.
If he didn't tweet, then his message would never get out. Because make no mistake about it, the academia in this country, Hollywood, the entertainment industry, and the media, they're trying to take this president down.
Oh, well, they
are doing everything they can.
Since November.
They've started that right off the bat.
And it's amazing to me.
Do you ever think that he tweets just to get a rise out of some of these folks?
Yes.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
I promise you, when he has some of his buddies in the White House and they're sitting around, and because I've being in the club business that I was in before I got into journalism and radio, I've known people like Trump. I know the braggarts. I know the people that are self-made and that are rich and that think that the rules don't apply to them. I know his character. I mean, I know that guy, and I know how they act. And I promise you.
But they're successful.
Yeah, they are, and he is.
He is.
And he is. Now, do I think that Trump is a crook? Yes, I do. I think he's an absolute crook.
Oh, boy, that's a new one.
Yeah, I do.
There's your HSO right there, brothers and sisters.
And you know why? Because he amassed a multi-billion-dollar fortune in New York City real estate. You don't succeed in that market by being a nice guy. You don't. You've got to be a shark.
Well, and doesn't that, with him being a president, doesn't that be beneficial to us as the United States by doing the same thing with China?
I think it does. I mean, because, China has been screwing us for years.
Forever.
On everything.
Yes.
On everything. And he's finally getting, and the Democrats, they know that what he's doing is right. But if they agree with him, they're not going to allow him to have a win.
Have you seen one Democrat agree with one thing he's done since he's been in office?
No, zero. And if they do, then in the same sentence they will hit him on something else that he did, or he didn't do it soon enough.
I haven't heard anybody say anything.
Or he didn't do enough, or he didn't go far enough, or he did it this way. And a prime example, you're not going to find anybody more pro-military than me. Nobody. You're just not.
I don't know.
I grew up in a military family, and you're just not. But Trump is right about NATO.
No,
I mean, NATO.
Time. That's a joke.
We are protecting all of Europe, which we should. I mean, we should. It's in our best interest. Harry Truman once said, "The business of the United States is business,"
Correct.
And he's right. And Trump is running it like a business. He's not running it like a red tape wrapped bureaucracy.
You're running like a pit bull.
Well, and rhetoric, because I think that's what we usually get from a lot of the politicians is a lot of rhetoric to get elected because they've been politicians. So therefore, in order to continue that job or to move forward from, House Representative to a senator to maybe president, it's like a club. So they keep in that club mentality.
Well,
so when they want to run for president, it's all rhetoric like, read my lips, no new taxes.
As much as a crook as Trump is, then the politicians are tenfold more.
Oh, there's no question.
I'm not worried. I'm not so worried how a billionaire became president of the United States. I'm worried how a politician became a millionaire.
That's a good question.
That's what I'm worried about. I wonder that, because you see these guys, and once again, to become a politician, you have to be proficient at two things. You got to be able to take tests well, because by taking test well, that means you're going to get in all the big colleges and all the good colleges, and that's where you make all your connections.
Correct.
And you got to be able to beg rich people for money. That's politicians. That's what you get to be a politician. So you'll see these people that are, and you know, the Clintons are the perfect example. I mean, they go into the White House and they were talking about how poor they were, that they couldn't pay their bills, and now they're worth $100 million. How? You know, it's like Washington, D.C. The Washington, D.C. and the surrounding area is the most prime, expensive real estate in the United States.
Yes.
They don't make anything. They don't manufacture anything. They don't sell anything. You know what they do? They sell influence. And so, you know, you can go to Washington, D.C. and become a lobbyist. And a lobbyist is just, that is such an oxymoron. because that's just a nice word for bribery.
Well, sure, that's exactly what it is.
That's all it is.
And they do a good job of it too.
And so,
the palm greasing that goes on there is probably through the roof.
You know, you see these politicians that make $187,000 a year, and yet they go into office and they're worth $500,000, and 10 years later, after 5 terms in the House, and they're worth $10 million. How?
You know how.
Well, I know how.
I'd be interested to see what AOC is worth in 2 years.
Oh, there's.
I'm not so sure she can count her money, so she may not get any.
So and you know, these are things that for years and years and years, there were certain things that they just weren't covered on either side. You know, the Republicans, you know, they didn't say anything about it, and they didn't want to create any.
Well, it's a club.
Exactly.
It's a
swamp.
Well, it's a swamp club,
and
boy, is it nasty.
And if you look at that club of politicians, it's so incestuous. So
there's no moral compass.
If you
whatever deal I can make that might put a little few bucks in my pocket.
If you look at politics and the media and entertainment, look how incestuous and how they marry each other. They hang out at the same clubs. They all go to the same Ivy League schools.
Right.
And it's just a little bubble that they have.
It keeps moving in the bubble.
And just, let me think of an example. Oh, they're in
the same secret societies together, the Skull and Bones, and there's a number of presidents that have been in the Skull and Bones.
Oh, both Bushes.
Both Bushes have been there.
Both Bushes have been in it. You know, and it's just amazing. It's our royal
families.
Yeah.
That are in that boat.
Yeah. You know, if the ruling class, you know, that's one of the reasons why we broke away from England, was that we didn't want to have these ruling elites, and that's all we have now.
Yeah,
and if you just the next time that you're watching CNN, or the next time you're watching Fox, and a pundit comes on, Google that pundit and just look who their relatives are. I guarantee you they have had a parent that was a lawyer in government.
I gotcha.
They've got a parent that was a diplomat. They've got a parent that was a college professor at an Ivy League school. And, you know, it's our ruling class.
Let me ask you this. Is there any way to fix that?
Well, what you need is,
because we talk about, term limitations.
That's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. Okay, that's not going to happen. Get that out of your mind out there. Term limitations will never happen.
Okay, who makes the laws?
They do.
So
it's like voting us out of office.
If you're a house, if you're a house member, you run every 2 years, so you're always campaigning.
Correct.
You're always begging people for money, always, and you get in that club. You're one of the 535 in that club,
right?
435. 535 with the Senate. And you say, wow, boy, I just went to the chicken coop and I've got a whole hen house full of golden gooses that are laying there. Well, are you going to cut your own throat by saying, you know what, I shouldn't be able to run for more than 3 terms? You going to do that? No, you're going to stay in there like Nancy Pelosi, since the James Madison administration. I think she's been in there, and you're going to bank as much money as you can.
Well, and what do you think about this? What about, where with what you call them a while ago, where they give us the congressmen, ladies, and money?
Lobbyists? No,
lobbyists, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about doing away with that? Would that have any impact, maybe?
Okay, all right. You do away with lobbyists.
And I know this is coming.
And then all of a sudden, then these lobbyists aren't making contributions to your campaign and you don't get elected. There goes the golden goose. It's going to die because you're not going to feed it.
Well, is that a possibility that'd be a good thing for the government?
No, they've been trying. See, and Trump is actually trying to do something about that. But he's not going to. He didn't have any help on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, it's like 535 against 1.
Follow the money. You will, no matter what problem you have in life, I don't care what it is. If you follow the money, you're going to get the source.
Well, so there's no fix.
No, I don't think there is. I think that the genie was let out of the bottle 150, 200 years ago. Certainly after the Civil War is when it really started. And the Industrial Revolution started, and big business, and then you had the robber barons, and you had the super rich, that we had to basically create a national income tax because of people like the Vanderbilts. And by the way, speaking of Vanderbilt, one of them on CNN every night, Anderson Cooper.
Yes.
Direct descendant of the Vanderbilts. See, it's so incestuous. So many people that
just sounds so nasty.
Well, because it is, and it's meant to sound nasty because it is.
Wow.
And you just get so much of that going on that I'm 59 years old. I'm certainly never going to see it happen.
Greggo's just made me depressed.
But then again, I your son Graham, 15 years old. Right. I won't live to see the day, but he'll live to see the day that this is a communist country. He will live to see. I won't see that. I'm not going to. It's not going to happen in my lifetime. But he's 15 years old. He's going to see it.
That just scares me. It really hurts me to think about that.
Communism.
Well, the only thing I see is some of the patriots, or a lot of the patriots, or something to overthrow the government to keep that from happening.
Well, who are you gonna fight?
Well, you go and clean out Washington and say,
how?
No.
How do you do that? How?
Well,
a revolution.
A revolution.
Who are you going to shoot?
Well, you just.
Who are you going to shoot?
Well, there's about 535 of them there. I can think of.
See, you can't. There's
got to be something to stop that.
This isn't like the Civil War where you got the gray on one side and the blue on the other. And you've got the Mason-Dixon line. And
I know it's not geographical.
You don't see that anymore, and so. The problem is,
I do think there'd be some sort of overthrow before that happened. I really, really do, Greggo. I may be too optimistic for you.
Thursday night, you're going to have the Democratic debate.
Right.
Did you hear Bernie Sanders about a week ago saying that abortion should be used as a population control?
Right. And then next
did you hear all the people raise their hand saying that it should be Medicare for all and do away with all private insurance?
I know.
And the El Paso guy said he was going to come take away your.
Yes.
He said, make no mistake.
Right.
So we're going to come get your gun.
And all that is socialistic ideas. But when you look at socialism,
it's a step in the right direction. It's a step. It's a process.
It looks like a good idea.
Right.
When you look at communism, man, that looks like a great idea. Everybody's equal, and everybody has the same. It sounds like a great idea. There's only one problem. It doesn't freaking work.
Well, the thing about it is, what bothers me is a lot of the newer generation, and at least the younger generation, my son's age, and probably a little older, I would say in the early 20s, mid 20s, like that. They're all in for the Santa Claus government.
You know why?
Free education, free health care.
Because we allowed the government to take control of public schools years ago, and they're being indoctrinated at an early age. And I can just see my Twitter blowing up now, calling me a conspiracy theorist and everything.
Well,
But you know what?
Facebook's
This
got
is
some
all.
things going too.
This is all true.
What do you got? Something hot
This
over
is
there?
all. What I'm saying is true. And if you go to any of these colleges now, what these students are being taught is appalling.
Well, and what they
so
even
when
put
you
up
get
with.
out, that they're saying, hey, you got a bunch of rich white people that are trying to screw you.
Yeah,
Well,
send your
forget
kid to the University of Texas at Austin and see
the
what they
People's
come out.
Republic of
Yes,
Austin down there.
exactly.
Where peeing and crapping on the sidewalk is,
Legal?
not only tolerated, it's encouraged.
And legal.
Well, I have a friend of mine that his son went to A&M, and then he went to UNT, and he was in a class and he had Trump socks on, and the professor went ballistic, called security, had him escorted out of the class. Can you believe that? Over Trump socks?
And you know why? And 20 years ago, they would have told that professor, you know what? It's a free country. The kid can wear anything he wants. He's wearing the socks of the president of the United States. Get over yourself.
Wow.
That's what would happen. But now
they should have fired the professor.
But
right
now
on the
that we
spot.
live in such a reactionist society and such a divided and just borderline socialist already, that I read an article the other day, and this is in the New York Times, that some author was saying that forget the Make America Great Again caps, but she's now saying that all red caps should be banned. All
that's the
red
color of the
caps.
gang, isn't it? The Crips or the something like that.
Well, that's not what she's getting at.
No,
though.
but I'm just saying that's almost saying it's a gang color.
Well,
It's a racist
I don't think
color.
that's what she's getting
She's saying
at.
it's a racist color. It's like trying. Never mind, though.
No, I understand what you're saying, but she's not meaning
No,
that.
she's just saying that she's triggered because just by saying Make America Great Again, that's not good enough anymore. Now it's red baseball cap.
Right.
And how long before they say, well, all baseball caps? If you're wearing a baseball cap, that's white supremacist. Because it's a Southern thing.
That's true.
And all of a sudden we've got to have Major League Baseball wearing fedoras out there because baseball caps are banned. And
if you just tuned in, you are tuned in to the SPAMM Saloon, and that's SPAMM. That's
we're on the P tonight.
we are heavily on that, and probably not, like Greggo said the other day, not the P that we really probably would like to be talking about, but it's what we're on. S stands for sports.
A lot rather be talking about pizza.
Yeah, and
that P.
P stands for politics, A stands for adventure, M for music, and M for media. And we kind of touched on media and politics together here. So thanks for tuning in. We are on Twitter. You can find us a brand new page. So try to follow us there. Just go to @Bo and Greggo. You can follow us we're live on Facebook as well. Facebook.com/Bo and Greggo. And how we doing, honey?
We're doing good. I invited I don't know, somebody was making some comments. I said, you're welcome to come on the show anytime you want.
Oh, really?
Yep,
I'm
she's
sure they
more
were
than-
firing some firecrackers.
I
huh?
haven't heard any reply, but she wants to.
Yeah.
She wants to counteract our comments.
Oh, I'm
and said,
sure.
Well, come on the show. You're more
Well,
welcome
they
to.
can make a comment, and we'll.
Jason Simpson says, "Great show. Let's hear some frog talk."
Some frog talk.
Oh,
Some
frog talk. Yeah.
No, we got to let them play a game first.
And then-
I know they played one, but it was 2 weeks ago. And
then you got
they
people-
played.
Well, they won last
They
Saturday.
played somebody from
Yeah.
They won.
Flower Mound or whatever.
Yeah, they won last Saturday.
Yeah, last Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't think I said I think they played somebody from Flower
They were giving
Mound
it-
or
right, exactly.
Pine Bluff or somewhere. I don't
Well,
know.
who they play Saturday?
Purdue.
Oh.
At Purdue.
That's going to be.
They
maybe.
they should be able to take care of business.
Well, do you want to stay on P, or you want to move to something else?
Let's my blood pressure. My blood pressure has been so great the past 5 years, and
We
when I
just
start talking
raised
about this, I'm about to have a coronary over here.
Well, we're here on Mondays and Fridays at 7 p.m. ish, and we're going to be talking about these items that we have been discussing. And Greggo, the Hammer Williams, is here with us on the Mondays and Fridays, and I'm Bo Carver. Purple Haze runs the Facebook live stream. Tonight we have
We got the
Judge James Kerbo with us. He's doing the
Here come the judge.
video
Order in the
production.
courtroom. Here comes the judge.
Twitter feed at Bo and Greggo.
How many people got that?
We actually had that song.
How many people
Yeah,
got
we do
that?
have that. I should have played it. But
I
thank you.
guarantee if you got that, you were born in the 60s.
I have. Well, yeah, I used to watch
Flip Wilson.
Flip Wilson
Yeah.
do. Here
I
comes
keep
the
asking
judge.
Bo for a theme song. I got to have intro
Oh,
music.
well, you know what? I have it on the computer in there. Next time you come, I'll make sure we have it for you.
Okay, we can do that
Perfect.
for you, my friend.
We're always prepared.
So anyway, thank you for joining us. And if you got something you'd like for us to bring up, you can make a comment on Facebook, or you can where they can find you, where you want them to contact you at if they want to.
You can catch me on Twitter at TCU White Trash. At TCU White Trash.
Now,
Love
why
it.
the white trash?
Yeah, because I am.
I understand the TC.
Because I am. You know, you can't run away from what you are. You know, I might as well embrace that because
Yes.
people are going to call me that anyway.
Well, there you go.
So if you embrace it, they'll shut up about it.
And we love you for that.
Either that or you can email me because I still do email. GreggoTCU at AOL. Yes, I still have AOL.
AOL.
Me and about four
I
other
know.
people.
We were talking about that the other day. Bo asked me, "What's AOL?" I
I
said,
don't even know.
"America
So-
Online."
I found a CD-ROM in my attic. I'll bring it to you.
Thank you very much.
140
You
free
got
hours.
any floppy disk? I need a few of those.
It's
too.
so old, I didn't even know about
He
it.
didn't even know about it. I know. I had to tell him.
And a flip phone too.
Still do. Now, you know, one of the cool things about doing this show on Fridays and Mondays is Friday we get you ready for the weekend, and then Monday we
Get you ready for the week. And recap the weekend.
And you asked me, I was kind of pretty proud of myself about give a Cowboy game prediction. I wouldn't give a prediction, but I did tell you that they were going to be special and good.
Can we talk about them for a
Yeah.
little bit now?
Yes, we
All right.
can.
What did you think about that?
Okay, well, okay.
Because you know what? I thought they were scary good.
Well, and
Now forget okay, and I'm going to go ahead and do what the liberals do to Trump. I'm going to kind of counter a little bit. The New York Football Giants are not really good, but they are an NFL
you know
team.
what? Let me just tell you something. I don't think it matters. The weapons that this team's got is far greater than I've ever seen this team ever have.
Well, now don't.
Whoa, wait a minute. Just hear me out.
Now
Just-
you're going to
just
jinx
hear me
them.
out.
We just lost every game coming up.
Well, I mean, the receiving core, as many weapons that they have in that category. What did he throw to 5 different receivers?
Seven.
Seven
Seven. And then
for 405.
most of them had 100 yards or at least
And
close to
believe
it.
me, before the third quarter was over, they had their foot completely off the accelerator.
Well,
Right.
that's what I'm
I
saying.
mean, they were not throwing the ball.
And the
down.
running game was really
Pollard
kind of
was-
non-existent
Yeah.
for the first.
Yeah,
outing.
wait till Zeke and his 8 nose rings gets in shape.
Exactly. That's what.
OMG.
And Garrett brought that up today, that he said the running game was not so great, but we all know that he's
But you
first
had the
game,
threat.
that's the key.
I mean,
right
with
there.
Zeke, you had the threat. Now, if it would have been the rookie Tony Pollard, who everybody around here wants to put in the Hall of Fame already, but,
Right.
which I don't get, but apparently he's supposed to be pretty good. We'll see. Let's see how he does. There's a lot of people that were gonna be great coming out of college that didn't, and he was a
Well,
fourth
that's
round
much
pick
sure.
for a reason.
Yeah.
So
Maurice
let's just
Clarett.
see. Yeah, but he would have been.
He he would have been, but he's a head case.
Yeah, he was a head case. But
The offensive line was fantastic. The defense was
good
just
to have Frederick back.
man, he was so good
He
yesterday.
was. God, he was good.
Man, he's good.
So-
now Dak looked really good. Okay, I mean he was right on target.
played a
looked
perfect
right-
game.
Yeah, but I want to ask you something.
His footwork is looking good.
Yes. What do you think Romo could have done with this team?
Thrown a lot of interceptions.
You think?
Yeah.
So you think that
Well, after the coin flip, he would have been hurt. Dak would have been starting
okay,
anyway. So
okay, there you go. Well,
Oh,
I just kind of thought about that because I always thought Romo was a pretty good quarterback,
Well, he was.
and
I mean,
but he
was
just
an
didn't have
excellent
he didn't
quarterback.
have the team like this.
He had a couple pretty good teams, not like this.
No,
I mean,
not like
this
this.
team, the strength of this team didn't even rise. That's the defense.
No, that was that's they were just
But they made so many good plays. That secondary made so many good plays on the ball. That was I counted like 3 passes that were batted down at the last second that you just didn't see.
Well, and this game was close. The score was closer than what it really was. If Saquon Barkley doesn't go for that long run early on in the game, then they don't even have that 7 points. Not to mention there was a fumble right there that the Cowboys could have easily recovered
from the first play.
From the
mean?
very first
right,
play,
right.
and you're talking about this is a whole different game.
Yes.
And they went away. The Giants went away from running Saquon more, and I don't know why, because he is clearly your best offensive weapon. So
well,
why
I
do you
think
pull
they
away
looked
from
over
him?
there and said, well,
Well, they've got problems in New York because
They do,
I
you
mean
can tell.
they have soured on Eli Manning and they're not wanting to pull that trigger.
Purple Haze
and they-
calls him little brother.
And they drafted that dude from Duke,
And they would boot him when he came out.
and so they've got a lot of problems right
Yeah.
now. That general manager up there is not popular, and they're not really sure on Fred Schirmer as the head coach, and the media hates the Giants. And if you're in that New York media, I mean, if you're in the if you're a team in that New York media and they hate you, it's tough to.
They
exist.
want to chop your head off.
Yeah.
They get their hands on it.
And so they've got a lot of problems, but
Still
I think,
an NFL team.
But I think if the Cowboys would have played the Chiefs yesterday, they wouldn't have beat them like this. But I think that
Oh,
won.
yes, I do
What
too.
did they play New England yesterday?
Well, you know what? I watched that game last
I did
night,
too.
and New England is New England, and I would have taken my chances with the Cowboys.
I do too.
I mean, I think that would have been one of those games that would have come down to a final couple drives in the fourth quarter.
I was
well-
just shocked.
well,
at the
I
Steelers
guarantee
play.
you they wouldn't have beat them like they did the Steelers by 30.
I was embarrassed.
Well, I don't think the Steelers look very good more
Well,
as
no, they
much as the
didn't.
Well,
Patriots
I
look
don't know what
great.
They
happened.
gave
yeah.
away their two best weapons.
Yes.
I mean, they had triplets,
yes, they did.
and they gave two of the three away.
Well, one of them they probably glad to see go, but it ain't going to help them
Yeah.
win ball
Well,
games.
now
right
they'll
now.
be
By the way,
playing
did
them
I tell you that
Yeah.
we would have a new?
Yep,
I
yep.
know. It was so funny. Friday, you said that. Well, by the time money rolls around, there'll be another story. Well, it's a huge
Well, when
story.
we did our show on Friday, he had
We're talking
Antonio
about
Brown
it, right?
with
He's
the
about
Raiders.
his wheels off.
He-
He can get.
He
Call him
had
Antonio
gone in
Clown.
and apologized, and he was going to play last night. He was going to play, and before I got in my car and got out on 121, he had posted some video secretly recorded John Gruden,
I
Mhm.
know, which is against the law.
and
in
then
California.
wakes up Saturday morning and go, release me. And by golly, the Raiders just did. They said, get out of here. And then, of course, he goes where all wayward NFL players goes, to
The
New
Patriots.
England.
No, okay. Now,
They're saying that's a conspiracy that
Do you
he
believe
did
that?
that on purpose.
I don't put anything past
the Patriots.
anything that happens in the NFL anymore.
Correct.
And the way that players have seized a certain amount of control because the money is so high, it wouldn't surprise me if Antonio Brown didn't land in that hot air balloon. That's how he
That's
arrived
how I arrived in training
at
camp.
training camp and looked around and goes, God, this team sucks, man.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to be here.
So
Right.
But I
that's
got
a-
all this money, so what can I do? And then, he freezes his feet and bitches about his helmet and, calls the general manager a cracker and says, get me out of here.
That's crazy.
And I promise you, he just didn't ask for his release. And his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, the absolute
Yeah, the
shark.
the devil
and
incarnate.
and he just didn't say release me. And Drew Rosenhaus hadn't made some kind of connection.
Of course.
Now, did he call up Kraft? Did he call up Belichick? No, but he called up somebody that knew
Somebody that knew somebody
said,
else that
"Hey,
knew somebody
you know,
else.
the
if-
fixer.
fixer.
If Antonio Brown was, would y'all have an interest? Well, yeah, we probably would. And then word starts filtering. That I believe that something like that could have
So
happened.
during training camp, they threw it past the guy and he ran by and said, "Hey, y'all be interested in it?"
No, I'm telling you right now. Here's what happened. Antonio Brown was fed up with the Steelers. He didn't want to go. He didn't want to go to the Raiders. He didn't want to go to the Raiders at all. He shows up, starts complaining about stuff. We've got the frostbite. We've got the helmet. Okay, I didn't buy either one of those. I thought it was absolutely absurd. Now to see him going over there with Josh Gordon. So you're
By the way,
telling
Josh Gordon looked great.
you're
last night.
telling me that Tom Brady's not licking his chops right now, ready to see week 2?
But see, that's what amazes me because
But how's he going to
because-
manage that? set
because
over
what
there?
because Bill Belichick doesn't put up with BS.
Accurate.
And you know
We'll
what?
see.
Accurate.
Here's what gets me how everybody wants to get away from these Bobby Knight type coaches, which is exactly what Bill Belichick
Mhm.
is, but yet he's the one that has the most success
Yeah.
and the ones that he can take a Randy Moss, a Corey Dillon, a Josh Gordon.
That's true.
He can take those guys and you either play by his rules and do what he says or you're gone.
And they
Right.
know it.
And they know it.
And that's basically
But
goes,
they like jewelry.
but that goes to show you that
And when you go to the Patriots, odds are you're going to pick up a ring at the end of the year.
That's what happened.
well, also it shows you what discipline does to people.
Yeah.
You know, which we don't have anymore. We don't have any more in schools.
Do you
We don't.
think
Well, now
he's
you
gonna-
have it in some. I mean, what is the and you know, you can make a case for Clemson, but for the sake of the argument, let's leave them out. But what's the number one program in college football?
Alabama.
Alabama.
Okay, Saban.
Nick Saban. Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
when you're a 5-star recruit, you know when you go there, you're going to get your ass kicked every day.
Right.
And if you screw up, he's going to call you out. You're going to have the hardest workouts, the hardest off season of anybody else. All your buddies are going to be at USC and Notre Dame and Tennessee, and they're going to be laying out with all the co-eds, and you're going to be busting your ass in a weight room. But yet they stand in line to go there. Why? Because you
The
freaking
rings.
win, and he prepares you to go to the next level and make a lot of money. Now, you make a lot of money going to Alabama because they do pay players. I don't
Now,
care.
let me ask you this. Talk to me about the last time the Dallas Cowboys had a hard-nosed coach. What happened then?
Well, we know they
got rid of him.
won 2 Super Bowls. I say 3
It
because I
probably is
give
3.
Jimmy credit for that third one.
Barry won with Jimmy's team.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but
But
I'm a
Parcells
Ba-
got us close.
I'm a
after
Barry
taking
fan,
track.
so
but
y'all watch it.
So am I.
Okay.
So am I. But you are seeing the hard ass coach, as I say, the Bobby Knight,
Right.
you know, Woody Hayes. Those are there's 2 left.
Mhm.
3. There's 3 left. You know, you got Saban, you got Belichick, and you got Greg Popovich, and we'll see what Popovich does now with the Spurs.
Right.
I mean, he's another, you know, ass kicker down
Right.
there. And you know when you go play for him, he's not going to put up with any nonsense. And if you screw up, he'll go to the press and go, well, you know, Tim Duncan, he let us down tonight. You know, and Tim
It just
Duncan,
tells you right off the
he
bat.
doesn't get his butt all hurt in the
Right.
corner. He goes, well, yeah,
He
he's
was
right.
right.
To whereas you say that about LeBron James, he's going to go on
Hmm.
Instagram
and looking
and
ready
bitch
for
about it.
exchange
Then he's
teams
going to
and
go on his barbershop show on
Yeah.
HBO and bitch about it with a bunch of people.
they
All
wanna
those
be
coaches you're
traded.
talking about are running out of fingers, though.
Yeah,
That's
they are.
true.
They got too much jewelry.
And they're getting old, and they're being replaced by the Sean McVays and the Cliff Kingsbury,
The millennial coach.
the people that want to be buddies.
Pat him
with
on the
these
back
players.
and let's
Yeah.
go have a beer together and
And-
you know whatever.
But when that's all you have, then that's going to be the bar. That's going to be what you're judged
Exactly.
by. You're not going to have a Belichick. When Belichick goes, you're not going to have another coach like him in the
Well,
NFL.
they
I mean,
looked,
when used to he was not the exception. He was the rule.
yes, of course. Well, let me just ask you this: what do you think of our new Mr. Moore for the Cowboys, play caller?
Yeah, he's had one game.
I know,
And-
but you
and-
know what?
and, I
I've
mean, it
liked
was-
him. Well, he was at Boise State, right?
And I got it. Yeah, TCU used to beat them on a regular basis.
I know,
Although-
but I
although he
liked
beat TCU a
him.
couple
I
times.
know they were in the same conference for a while,
Yeah,
right?
they were Mountain West.
Right, but I still liked him, and I
He-
thought he was really kind of cool.
I got to
and-
tell you, there was a few different wrinkles, but I saw the same plays. I saw the same pass patterns. I saw the same Jason Witten down the seam. You know, that's a play they've been calling his whole career.
So is it the players that made it different?
I think there's a different mindset and attitude. I'm going to give John Kitna, the quarterback coach, a little bit, not more credit than Kellen Moore, because I like what Kellen Moore has done. And there has been, you know, you could tell that things were different, but I think it's more of a mindset than it is
Well,
the
because
physical play
because you're
calling.
going like now. For me, I would go. This overall thing is good, and so you get that motivation, you get that mojo, you get that feeling. And like like Sunday, that where they all just, you could tell their motor was kicking. And so that just keeps you going on down the road, waiting for that next time that their motor can get up to high speed.
Well, week one in the NFL, you and pretty much I would put the percentage at 50% of teams that come out of camp ready to play and teams that are not. Last year, the Cowboys weren't.
Right.
But this year, they looked motivated, but more than that, they looked interested.
And they looked prepared. They looked
very
ready.
well. They were a well-prepared team.
So they have the Redskins coming this
The Steelers
Sunday.
last night, they look like a team
They had no idea.
that wanted to be anywhere
But
inside that stadium playing football.
They had nothing going on last night.
It was
Tom couldn't put
Carbo,
it
can I
together.
ask you a question? Facebook has thrown you under the bus.
Oh, good.
They're saying that you're a closet Eagles fan.
I'm a closet Eagles fan. In no way, shape, or form is that accurate.
Somebody's throwing
That
you
is-
under the bus for sure. Are they?
Nah, I don't. Is it Roger? Who is that?
David.
David
Trantham.
Trantham. So that is
Yeah.
our Denton County's own district clerk, David Trantham.
He says,
Boy, I tell you what, he's
posting
wheels
that.
off too.
Are you going to take care of him tomorrow, the next day, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna figure out something to file
Well, you know,
in
when
there.
I married
I was about
Bo,
to say,
when I married Bo, I had to choose between the Steelers and the Eagles. I gave up the Eagles. He let me keep my Pittsburgh, though.
Yeah, last night,
That's
I think
fair.
she's about ready to give them up.
I'll tell you what though,
I was a closet Eagles fan.
if you ever get a chance to go to a Eagles game, go, because that's with
Bulletproof
all
vest.
that's with all of those northeastern teams. You know, Washington,
The fans are insane.
New York, both the Jets and especially the Giants, and New England. There's nothing like going up there. I mean, I was lucky enough the early part of my career when I worked at WBAP for 6 straight years. You know, I made every single Cowboy road trip. You know, which meant a trip to Washington, New
Oh,
York,
boy.
and Philly every single
Did you
year.
get egged?
Right.
I was there in '89 for
the
all the
The
snowballs.
snowballs at Santa.
I was there in '89. Yeah.
And
for that.
and it's the only place that I saw. And of course, I've never been there, and I'm not really so sure I want to go, especially if you're wearing anything cowboy attire.
It was the first in 1989 was my first trip to Washington D.C. and this was back when they played in RFK. And I don't know, you've been to Washington D.C.?
Yes, I've been
You know
there.
where RFK is? It's not in a good section
No,
of
it's
Washington.
not.
And Washington D.C.
And for the
when you
longest,
get-
the stadium
when you
was
get
sucked.
on the backside of the Capitol, you're in South Oak Cliff.
Right.
It's about as rough a neighborhood as you can get, and that's how you have to get there. And so we're on when we'd leave to go to the stadium, because all the media traveled with the team, you'd have 3 buses. You'd have the offensive team, the defensive team, and then the media
Okay.
on the bus. And so I'm on the media bus. First time I'd ever been to Washington. And so we're driving down through there, and I'm with a lot of media people that have been there for numerous times. And all of a sudden I hear this bam, bam, bam. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And they're like, oh, they're throwing rocks and bottles at the bus.
Wow.
I'm like, well, are they going to stop? I'm like, no. I mean, it happens every
Used to.
year. It was just,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, they weren't even,
They weren't
I'm
affected.
thinking, well, we're about to get out and whip some ass here.
No,
And
you're
they're
not.
like,
Yeah.
no, it just, and then every year in Washington, when we'd drive through there, that's what it was. I mean, it
Wow.
was just every time.
Well, when you watch a team in their hometown, in their home stadium,
And then, and 89, that was, in 89 was when they went up there, and that's the only game they won that
I
year in
know.
Washington.
Exactly.
And
I
that's the year
remember that.
Washington won the Super Bowl.
Well, that was
Wow.
last year of Landry, wasn't it?
No, 88. That was my first year covering the team. 88.
Okay, I got you.
But
Well-
89 was Jimmy's first year, and 1 in 15. They probably could have, if they'd have kept Herschel Walker, they could have probably eked out a couple more wins. But Jimmy was playing a long game. He wasn't
And he
playing for
did.
the 89 season.
He made a big difference.
The greatest
It
deal.
was great, and it's the only place. And this I remember so precisely watching the game when they start cheering when Michael Irvin goes down.
No.
That was in Philadelphia.
That's what I'm
That's in
talking
Philly.
about.
Philly.
And I'm going like, boy, that is a bunch of rugrats right there, man. That's
They're
the
mean. They're mean.
That's the lowest of the low.
Well,
when
they
you
booed
start doing-
Santa Claus.
That's awful.
Keep it classy, Philadelphia.
They booed Santa Claus. But
That's awful.
I mean, there are
that's a rough bunch.
there
Man.
are no-go zones in some of those New York, Philly, Washington sections, to where if you're an opposing team, and and here's the thing is that as a Cowboy fan, you didn't really get the gist of it, because there are so many Cowboy fans in Washington, New York, and Philly. You wouldn't believe it, but there are, especially in Washington, because a lot of them live in Virginia.
Right, I got you.
And they're Cowboy fans. So there was always a big Cowboy contingent in New York, Philadelphia, and Washington. But I've heard, like, for instance, when the Eagles go into Washington, you don't see an Eagle jersey anywhere, and if you do, they're going to get their ass whipped. Seriously.
Yeah,
But with
hated-
Cowboy fans, I mean, there's so many of them that you didn't really see that. It was like, we'd go to the team hotel, and the lobby, you couldn't
There's a
have.
bunch of Cowboy.
Oh, that's all
yeah.
it was.
Yeah, well, that's kind of everywhere, really.
And that's it. It doesn't matter. I mean, I've been to just about every NFL stadium, and you go to Cleveland, Cowboy fans. You go to Seattle, Cowboy fans. You go
Arizona, everywhere.
especially in California.
Yes.
You
Well,
know,
that's
back-
where they used to train, so they built
Well, they
up a
still
lot of-
do.
They still train in
Wow.
Oxnard.
in Oxnard. But when I first started covering the team was when the Rams were still, before they'd moved to St. Louis,
Right.
and they were playing in Anaheim. They played in what is now Anaheim Stadium, where
Right.
the Angels play. Where
Correct.
all the rocks are out there. Well, that wasn't there then. And it was amazing, the Cowboy fans out there. That's why Jerry. I mean, that's
The number one sports organization in the world,
That
$5
is-
billion is what
Yep.
it's worth.
And I promise you, if somebody were to walk up with a cashier's check for $10 billion
He's not
and go,
taking it.
Jerry, I want to buy the Cowboys, here's $10 billion, he wouldn't even think about it. He'd turn
No,
it
this
down.
is his child. He birthed this in his mind, and he's
Look what he's built, though.
Yeah,
It's
he's
insane.
never. It's
Yeah.
he'd never get rid of it. It's
Well, all you're doing is selling your identity. I mean, because he's already filthy, stinking rich.
Yeah.
yeah.
and so
the money doesn't really
And
Exactly.
it's
So-
still growing.
so-
He's
so-
building casinos. He's doing whatever
So
he
if he,
wants.
so
Wow.
if he, Jerry's worth $5 billion. So if he was worth $10 billion, what could he buy with 10 that he can't with 5?
That's
Nothing.
true.
Right.
And then his beloved Cowboys, he wouldn't be the guy they interviewed all the time. He wouldn't be the go-to guy. He wouldn't get to do his radio show.
and
so
his media
he'd sell
attention.
Yeah,
and all
he
that.
would sell his identity. He might not sell it for $20 billion.
I think that he enjoys that personality, that
He does.
attention he gets more than he does the team,
he does.
He
And
loves it.
there's,
and it's part of his
the
makeup.
SPAMM part, the adventures.
You
One
just,
of these days,
well, you just told one going.
one of these days, we will tell an adventure story about when training camp was held in Austin, and it
I
was.
don't even remember that.
Oh yeah, at St. Edward's University. It was the first year that the Cowboys held training camp in Thousand Oaks in '89, and the next year is when they moved it to Austin.
See, I don't even remember.
Oh yeah,
that.
at St. Edward's. Oh my gosh, yeah. It went from Austin, then it went to Wichita Falls.
Now, I
which was
remember
which was a
that.
hellhole.
I remember that.
And then they started splitting the time in Oxnard. But that is when the city of Austin should have officially, for that couple weeks or that month that the Cowboys were in town, they should have officially changed the name from Austin to Caligula. Because the debauchery that went on there is
Through
well,
the roof,
we'll
huh?
get into the A in SPAMM one of these days.
Well, we just had that
on some
with
of
the
the
story to
adventures.
going to riding the bus to on your trip there where you
in Washington.
yeah, that was an A.
That was
part of the A.
that was always fun.
And we will be getting into all of those different things on each of the shows. Again, we're the SPAMM Saloon, and that's capital S, capital P, capital A, capital M, capital M.
We may change the last M to smaller case Because I don't know that I'm gonna give media with an uppercase M.
Okay, we could do that if
You
you
know,
want.
we might leave that.
What about like an asterisk?
Yeah,
Maybe
that's all
that
right.
too.
I like
Maybe
that.
that's
Okay,
even
that's fair.
better. Yeah. Maybe
But
a capital M with an asterisk. That'd be good.
and that doesn't mean we'll get into every one of those each show, but we that's what we're going to try to cover.
Now we do take suggestions.
Yeah,
I mean, you
sure.
you can email the show or contact me or Bo, and if you want us to touch on something, we might do it. We might not. Depends on the mood we're in. Depends
Psycho
on
Dave
what kind of
says hi.
barbecue we have that
Hey,
day.
Psycho Dave.
Psycho Dave.
Thanks for
more
tuning in.
barbecue.
And so you can find me at bocarver@hotmail.com. That's BOCARV like in Victor ER at hotmail.com. Or you can find Greggo at TCU White.
Greggo,
Trash.
that's GRL. That's GR.
It's above your head if you don't know how to spell.
It's a silent G.
It's
Yeah.
a silent G, lowercase G,
LGQ.
MNOP.
PT. Yeah.
Give him your email address.
It is GreggoTCU@AOL.com.
Okay.
GreggoTCU@AOL.com.
And you can follow him on Twitter.
Or
And that's
TCU White
TCU
Trash.
White Trash.
Boy, did
right?
I just sneak in right into TCU's white trash? Man, I was so stealth on that. I mean, they normally don't let a lot
Let
of
that
white.
stuff
They
like
normally
that.
don't let white trash in TCU, but boy, I was so stealth in there.
He
didn't
just
see it
snuck
coming.
right
Oh
in
man,
there.
I got right in there.
And graduated in
I
3
got-
years, you said.
Oh, got right in there. Yeah. Well, I knew because it became apparent what a white trash dude I was. That I knew that I had to make good grades, or they'd kick me the
You
hell
bet
right off
God.
campus.
Their best course of action was to graduate you early.
Exactly. Exactly.
So speaking
No.
of TCU, but I want to talk about their game coming up Saturday, but I want to mention a couple of games from last Saturday that you were 50% on, and I think A&M just didn't quite have the muster for Clemson.
Man, Clemson's good.
They're very
Man,
good,
they are.
and
Once again, it's going to be them and well,
Alabama.
you know what? I don't know. I was thoroughly impressed by LSU.
Well, I was going to say that's the one you missed on because you picked Texas, and
I had
I'm
no
going-
idea LSU was that good.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you think LSU was that good,
Yes.
or did you think Texas was overbilled by you? Like you thought they?
You know what? I think that just arrange them in whatever you want to order, Alabama and Clemson, because you can have the
Those-
first pick. I'll take the
I
second one,
got you.
and I'll feel pretty good about it.
Right,
But LSU is definitely
got
the
some
third-
muscle. Huh?
And I promise you, Texas is the fourth best team in the nation this year.
Well, they were at
Right now.
home too,
Yeah,
and they got manhandled.
No, they didn't
Well,
get
not manhandled.
They didn't
but
get
got
manhandled.
beat. Okay.
You know, if they
To me, if you get beat, you get manhandled.
they
You went home with a loss on your column.
they lost. They had a touchdown pass that they dropped. That could have changed the whole outlook of the game because it happened in the first quarter, and who knows what would happen after that. So I don't say, well, if they'd have caught that, then that won't. No, it doesn't work like that. Things happen in the game.
My
and-
grandmother
through
used
the
to say, if
flow.
the dog hadn't stopped to pee, it'd have caught the rabbit.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. I've heard that too. But-
ifs, ands, or buts, it didn't happen, and Texas got beat.
Put it this way, Texas, they were everything that I thought they were, and maybe a little bit more. But LSU was off the charts to me. It looks like they found them a quarterback, and they've always had the skill people, but they could
Right.
never get a decent quarterback. And that defense, good
They've
grief.
always had pretty good defense.
I mean, they shut Colin Johnson, who I think may be the best wide receiver in the country. For Texas, number 6,
right,
6'6", about 240.
right. I know he's big.
That
guy.
runs about a 2.3
Right.
40.
Yes.
That guy is so fat. By the way, you know who that is? That's Johnny Johnson's kid.
Oh, I didn't know.
Remember
that.
Johnny Johnson? He used to play for Texas in the 70s.
Yes, yes.
And the Rams. That's his kid. Didn't know that.
Well, we got Emmett Smith's kid running as a running back for Jesuit, I think, here in Dallas. That
Really?
yes,
God, what?
he's playing for the Jesuit.
My gosh.
Isn't Jerry's grandson playing for Arkansas?
Yes,
Yeah,
He's a
he just got
quarterback.
drafted.
Yes,
Yeah.
John Paul.
John Paul. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He was the Highland Park kid, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Won
Two-
the state game.
two
Or
of
two,
them.
two, excuse
Two
me.
back-
Back to back.
Yes,
And one of them in an epic comeback.
yes, that was great games. Those are great, and I
But
love
Texas-
high school.
But Texas, they They were better than I thought they'd be, and I thought they were going to be really, really good.
And you did pick them, but
But
you got,
Georgia's ranked 4th this week. I don't think Georgia can beat Texas. And I watched that Georgia game. Of course, they didn't play anybody. You can't tell in these early games.
exactly.
But
The Patsy game.
So
Alabama played New Mexico, and good grief,
they,
it was like 40-0 in the first half.
I know, it's pretty sad.
But
well, so TCU, they play Purdue. You said,
Purdue.
Are they at home?
no, they're in Purdue.
And so you think that's a
They're in
win?
Lafayette. I picked TCU to win every game.
Of course.
Yes, I picked them
TCU
to win
gonna
every
win
game,
this
whether
Saturday.
I think they're gonna or not, and you'll never know what I think.
Yes.
So yeah, I think they're gonna win.
Yeah, I think your house is painted purple, isn't it? And all the rooms inside.
No, but I really wish that I could get rich and live in a real gated community and paint my house purple and just piss off the homeowners association. I'd really like
you'd
to
be
do that.
fine and in
I'd
court
love
for
to do-
every cent you have.
I think you should move to Austin and move into a UT
You know,
community and do
I
that.
I had a good buddy that lived in Fort Worth, and he was a trust fund guy and inherited like $20 million. And he had a house in Ridgecrest, not the nice section, if there's a bad section of Ridgecrest, but he kind of let it go. And so, boy, they started really getting on his ass
Right.
about painting his house.
Doing
And so he
stuff.
painted the whole thing flat black. Everything.
Oh,
Everything.
Here's your paint
Shutters,
job.
it looked like the Addams Family house.
That didn't go over well, did it?
No, it didn't, but it was a great
Oh,
story.
that's great. And I love people that do stuff like that.
Oh, he
It's
did.
just-
He did. Well, he was like 25 years old,
Right,
and
didn't
they're
give a
like,
crap.
you need to paint your house. I'm like, okay, all right.
I
I'll
know
get it painted.
someone who
Yeah.
got in trouble
black
for not
light.
mowing their lawn, so they put gas on it and burned it.
Oh,
And so they fined him for that too. It's, well, now I don't have to mow it, do I? And so they fined him for killing his grass. It was ridiculous.
How much
Well-
is that fine?
It was up in Denton, so I really don't know. It was actually my daughter and her.
now who fined him? I mean, really?
Probably David
the
Cranston.
HOA.
Oh,
The
okay.
people, they lived in a trailer park community.
Boy, I hate HOAs.
Yeah.
Oh,
my
Lord.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on
have I
that.
had wars with
We
them?
moved out of
Oh.
our place because of HOA over in
I
Cross.
pray for you people if you're paying HOA.
I used to
anything.
live
That's
I used to
insane.
live in a high rise, and
Those
believe me,
fees.
it's
Ridiculous.
they're ridiculous. But
They're as
just
high as your rent.
the stupid little rules that they have.
Yeah.
I was warring with them every month.
Yes.
We got a ticket for some kid's bike being in our yard. It wasn't even our bike. We didn't want to take it, so we'd come back and get it. We got $25 ticket every week for being in there. Finally the kid came and got it, and so I was like, this is ridiculous.
I finally moved it.
I don't know. It just disappeared, but I thought that was the stupidest
Oh
thing.
boy, HOAs, man, that it might as well be called SOBs.
Well, or
they
the
are.
Gestapo. I mean, geez, those people.
We have got a bunch of
Now
stories
some
about
of them,
HOA.
some of them are good because you invest a lot of
I'd
money.
like to meet some of them.
You invest a lot of money. You don't want the clampets moving in or anything like that.
I got you.
But they'll let
The
something big
nitpicking,
go,
right?
but then something is crazy.
Our trash can was in the wrong place.
Or
and
that,
it could
yeah.
be seen from the
Yeah.
road, so we got fined
Yeah.
for that. I'm like, are you serious? That is ridiculous.
It's
the wind
just
blew it.
typical type government stuff. Once you get that
Yeah.
kind of stuff going on, that's what's going to happen, and that's kind of what's happening in our government. The big stuff gets buried, and then we want to go and just monopolize the little stuff that's not going to change anything except piss us off.
Yeah, and
So-
start banning everything.
Yeah.
Banning
Yeah.
straws. That's going to save the planet.
What about the plastic bags and the paper bags?
Yeah,
and
they
now
take
we're
it
back
to the trash
plastic?
with their plastic
Yeah.
Let's do that. You got California. You've got 60,000. Basically the population of Denton
It's ridiculous.
that are living on the streets in LA,
Of course.
and they're worried about the size of soft drinks.
Oh yeah, I
You
do
got
remember that.
people pissing and crapping on the
They're
sidewalks. You
living
got
on
people.
those sidewalks.
You got people shooting up heroin right there, in somebody's $1 million condo, and they're worried about a straw that some sea turtle might get, 900 miles out in the sea.
Crazy.
Well, that's where we're at today in this society.
Not me. I'm not.
No,
Not me.
No, I'm going to use that plastic straw, even if they pass a law against it.
Well,
I'm going to make my own.
but the only bad thing about it is all those liberal nut jobs are fleeing their high taxes
And coming here.
and coming
here.
to Texas and bringing those stupid liberal ideas with them.
Yeah, and that's please. I just don't
California or
understand that. I
Texas,
mean, the reason you're leaving is because of all that nonsense.
And then they want to come here and implement it.
I know, but that's just I don't know. You know,
Well, it's not going to happen in my lifetime.
well, that's I'm fearful for my son, and it's not going to happen in my lifetime either.
And we got
but-
too many beta males in this.
OMG, gosh. I see a sign and I saw the bumper sticker. I just wanted to ram the car.
And it just amazes me how they can just say the most outlandish, nonsensical stuff, and people just go, "Hey, yeah, that sounds like it might be a pretty good idea."
Yeah, like Beto saying that he wants to. Not does he not want to build a wall, he wants to tear them all down.
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay, then you don't have a country.
And you're going to be demanding, and the people are going to.
There's only one word for him. Take your headphones off for just a second. There's only one word for Beto. Pussy.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
there
what
you
he
go.
is. That's
And
what
this
he
is it.
Am I right, Judge?
This is
No
SPAMM
comment.
Saloon.
I plead the fifth.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to invoke my Fifth Amendment
Yes.
right.
Or you know what?
PTF is my
You know
new
what?
nickname.
I'll tell you about. He's a mussy,
Okay.
There you
a
go.
male.
Well, we
I
can't.
think he's just
We
running
can't
'cause
bleep
he
that
has
out,
the
so it's
money.
out there. So share the
Yeah.
word about it.
Well, he's a rich guy that's never had to pay an electric bill in his life.
No, he's got a
He's-
wife
he's-
that's from a billionaire.
Yeah.
But if you look
background.
at his past, his criminal past is ridiculous. And how come people aren't fact checking him? He had some issues with
Well, because they like him.
Well, his dad was a judge and got him out of things.
yeah, got him out of a lot
The
of
DUI,
things.
the B&E, the
And
breaking and
They
entering,
killed somebody, I believe, or he ran somebody over with a car or something.
something
There
I
like
was
don't
a
think
that.
hit
anybody
and
died in
run.
that damn.
There was a hit and run or something, and there was something involved with a child. And it's just
Yeah, but see,
insane.
he's one of theirs.
The eminent domain.
Yeah, but he's one of theirs.
uh, complaints.
Yeah.
Well,
we-
I mean, the reason he got into politics is because his, billionaire father-in-law
Right.
got him on the city council at El Paso, where he could change a bunch of zoning laws where they could build a bunch of
Yeah,
crap.
it
down
starts
there.
there. Well, we appreciate y'all tuning in. You got anything else to say, Greggo, for the night? Or
No, I
Okay.
think I pissed everybody off.
Let's keep your shirt down, Bo.
Well,
We
I
don't
was
need
going
to
to
see
raise
that
it
on
up and
Facebook.
flash the people.
Whoa.
I know. I'm
I
like,
think
what is he doing?
I was going to raise the flash the people as
I'm
we
sure I
leave.
pissed off enough people.
Well, and we
I'll
sure.
save up
Wait a
for
minute. What are
Friday.
you going to say, Kerbo?
I had that zoomed in too, right on both.
Oh,
So
there
Right
we
on
go.
time. Perfect.
I was getting there, baby.
Twitter's
There-
going to like it.
Friday may be wet T-shirt contest. We don't know.
I'm out.
But hey, thank you for tuning in.
I have emceed many of them.
I'm sure you have.
emceed many of them.
We want you to have a great week, and we're just getting warmed up for Friday. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about by then. I'm sure the left is going to make Greggo go through the roof. And
Yeah,
he'll be-
I'm not. I probably won't. I probably won't be so political Friday.
Well, we'll see. We're going to be talking probably Cowboys and other things and sports and adventure and all that good stuff. So thank you for tuning in tonight here on the SPAMM Saloon. And there's his flip phone in case you don't
Hold it
believe
up.
me.
And Justin, I will tell
There's
them
my
your
flip phone
suggestion,
right
and we'll
there.
see if they'll talk
There's my
about it on the
flip
next
phone.
show.
See that?
Okay.
What a flip phone I've got. Don't be thinking you're gonna get my number on that.
What?
I've
Well,
already,
you know what?
I already
I-
gave it
yeah,
out. I
Might
typed it
as
in.
well.
No.
Everybody else has my number, so it's no big deal if you've got my telephone number. Oh, there it is. It's official.
And we're taking it out. Don't forget that you can.
I'm gonna give the Elizabeth Warren wave. You ever see that broad wave? Looks like one of those things they sell used cars at. You know? Her and Beta, a lot of hand movement.
Yeah, he does a lot of movement.
Oh,
That's because they're like magicians. You don't know what they're doing.
I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna take all your guns because we can't be shooting children.
Okay. Till Friday. Y'all have a great week. Thank you, Judge James Kerbo. We love you. Thanks for being here tonight.
Bo, Greggo, Barbarian, thank
Purple
you.
Haze. Thank you, my buddy Greggo. I appreciate you, my friend.
Right.
We'll see y'all Friday at 7 p.m. Have a great day.
Wait a minute. We're still on, so give me a second.
That's always. Are we off now? Are we off now?
Here, hang tight.
Are we off
hang
now?
tight.